Sir, you're about to see something really special.
Really thought this part of my life was behind me. Frenzy disappeared with the drinking 3 years ago. Why now? This makes no sense, and I'm right on the verge of freaking out.
Back from your life,
these people can be animals.
what you burn,
Thingy's out.
some bitter things you should never
Good cheese.
learn. Wallow through the days.
Remember, cosplay's not consent.
So here's to me. Congratulations, me. Yay, me.
This would all be so much easier if I was hammered. Hammered.
Won't be there anymore. You can take away the anger, but you leave behind the pain. It's your soul I
New ventures are always scary.
feel till I'm melting
Blah, blah, blah. Something positive and uplifting.
tomorrow. But the hurt will still remain. In your soul I'll live forever till I'm melting in.
Don't miss our new film, The Love Song of William H. Shaw, coming soon to a streaming service near you. Hey everyone, this is Cliff from Talking Pondo. Just wanted to give you a quick heads up about spoilers on the show. We do talk about the films in a certain amount of detail, so you may want to watch the film first and then come back if you're not a fan of spoilers. Also, every now and then there's a little bit of adult language, so we wanted to give you fair warning on that. We hope you enjoy the episode, and we really appreciate you listening. Welcome to Season 2 of Making Pondo and Talking Pondo. Talking Pondo is a podcast where Cliff and Marty give each other a film to watch and talk about them in detail. Some episodes will include a special guest. Making Pondo is a podcast where Cliff and Marty talk to people they have worked with and discuss their experiences on set. All right, Marty, we're back.
We're back.
We are back.
That's right. It's Talking Pondo. As
That's right.
we getting that much closer to closing the gap here, to where all the episodes that we recorded ahead of time now have episodes that go in between them. I know you listeners care so much about this, and then the next thing you know, it's season 3 right around the corner. But,
Yeah, so this is episode 31 of Season 2.
yeah.
Yeah, so we're almost there. 5 more to go.
It's a trip. I'm Marty, as always.
I'm Cliff.
Our movies, as always, are
We're talking about, let's see, this week it was S.O.B. and Rush Hour. S.O.B. from 1981, Rush Hour from 1998.
Yeah, we don't talk about the same movies every week. That was a joke.
That would be a weird podcast.
But you mentioned the dark year of 1998.
The dark year.
For me personally, that was a very much a low point. And I wasn't paying attention to a lot of movies of the action genre around that time period. So that's why I did not see Rush Hour until earlier this week for the very first time.
Wow.
So what is Rush Hour?
So Rush Hour from 1998, directed by Brett Ratner, stars Jackie Chan, Chris Tucker. A loyal and dedicated Hong Kong inspector teams up with a reckless and loudmouthed LAPD detective to rescue the Chinese consul's kidnapped daughter while trying to arrest a dangerous crime lord along the way. So that's your log line. And your storyline is cultures clash and tempers flare as the two cops named Detective Inspector Lee, a Hong Kong detective, and Detective James Carter, LAPD, a big-mouth work-alone Los Angeles cop, who are from different worlds, discover one thing in common. They can't stand each other. With time running out, they must join forces to catch the criminals and save the 11-year-old Chinese girl of the Chinese consul named Su Young.
I mean, we're leaving around each other enough to not like each other that much. They're mildly annoyed with each other. But one thing I will say about it is formulaic. Because it's exactly what this is supposed to be. You know, you go to a horror movie and some people go, this is the same thing I've seen but the people that like that formula are into it for the things it's doing different. And here, what we're doing different is we have Jackie Chan and Chris Tucker. That's your mix-up. And so, Rush Hour from 1998. It is kind of a little bit of a Beverly Hills Cop pastiche, but the way I see it is they cut Axel F into 3 characters. And they spread him apart between Chris Tucker, Elizabeth Pena, and Jackie Chan. While as in Beverly Hills Cop, he would have been all 3, and he would have done all those things himself. And so that's where this one, it's a little thin for me, but I think that was, it's still amusing.
See, to me, this is a vehicle, and I know that I think we talked about this before, but like other actors were up for these roles, who would you say? Wesley Snipes, was it, or somebody? And then, but point being, I feel like when they got to Chris Tucker and Jackie Chan, they were like, there it is. Kid from Friday, he's hot, and Jackie Chan's was really busting into the American market with, Rumble in the Bronx, Super Cop. Like, I watched all those when they went, like, I rented everything. Once he came out, I saw Rumble in the Bronx in the theaters, and I started renting everything that guy did, all the way back to, some of the earlier stuff, with the Drunken Master stuff and all that kind of stuff that he was doing.
Yeah, I like that one.
Yeah. So he, that really sent me backwards along his, so I was ready when Rush Hour happened. I was really ready to see Jackie Chan in an American movie. Because, everything he'd kind of done was always, even if it was like Rumble in the Bronx, it was done in America with a Chinese production company. And this was an American production company, American director, Brett Ratner, and who, again, I guess he got kind of smacked by the Me Too shit. But at the time, he was, supposed to be a hot director. And it was, when it came out, I was pretty excited for it to come out because I thought this is going to be pretty good. And I thought it was, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, they were trying to break Jackie Chan into the North American market for years. And right around, like you're saying, the mid-90s, they figured it out. Yeah.
Yeah. This did it. Him playing opposite Chris Tucker, it's their own version of Lethal Weapon. It's their own...
Running Scared.
They're Running Scared. It's their buddy cop, perfect kind of buddy cop movie. Oh, no.
There was parts where I'm like, some scenes felt exactly like that Running Scared. And it's like, because you want those tropes in there, but they're doing their version of it. Yeah. So the music was done by Lalo Schifrin. I think I'm saying that right. Now, I think I told you this story, but I didn't tell on the podcast because it didn't have any relevance to anything, and now it barely does, but I'll tell it now. Lalo Schifrin, who did the score for this, also did the score for Class of 1984. Among many, many other movies. And way back in the day, Jim Morrison from The Doors recorded an all poetry album, and he was going to have it set to orchestral music. Orchestral? Jeez. Orchestral. Thank you.
Orchestral.
Slow down and use your words. And he was going to have Lalo Schifrin be the composer. Well, that didn't happen. They ended up putting out that album as American Prayer, where The Doors did the music for it. But so years later, this Lalo guy's composer, and he's doing the music for Class of 1984, and he's like, we need a good theme song for this. Who am I going to get to do the theme song? Well, none other than Jim Morrison's good friend, Alice Cooper. So does that mean in some multiverse Jim Morrison did the music for Class of 1984? I don't know. But I just immediately, when I saw the Lalo name, it took me back because we're linked to that damn Class of 1984 movie because of the Ain't Got No Sense song.
The Shakers.
Which is the Shakers version in Love Song of William H. Saw. See, it was just a plug for our movie. Now on TV.
It's brilliant. It's brilliant. I love the way you circle all the way back and plug our movie. That's fantastic.
And let's see. Rush Hour. It's kind of like a slasher movie with its perfect template. And action movies do this. You got that first 10 to 15 minutes where they're setting everything up, and then the movie proper starts. The two
Right.
leads meet. Now they're going to solve the crime, but you only got to tell a 75-minute movie at this point. It's a great technique.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Moves the pace along really well, really strong. But one of my main things with this movie is, you've ever heard the saying, a movie is only as good as its villain, or a project is only as interesting as the villain. It's only as good as the bad guy.
Where's Juntao? Where's
I-
Juntao?
I think Rush Hour is proof that doesn't always apply, because sometimes you do just have generic white guy doing bad things. We came to Rush Hour to watch Chris Tucker and Jackie Chan. I could give a shit less about who the villain is. Now, if the villain was also just as interesting, that makes an even better movie, of course. I'm not knocking that. But I don't think you always have to have a super interesting villain with a super interesting motive, as long as you have some good, leads.
It's British guy who was powerful in Hong Kong, and then British rule under Hong Kong passed, and then he was mad he lost his shit, and so
He's like one of the boring Bond villains, who has no hit points when you finally get to him.
Yeah, I mean, I can't be mad at a movie that has Chris Penn in it.
Right? I think it breaks that mold.
Yeah, it's got a great entrance with Chris Tucker. When that car blows up and he does that Michael Jackson dance, you know kind of what you're in for. Like, you're like, okay, this is the kind of movie this is going to be. This is like somebody let Eddie Murphy and Smokey out and then tried to pair him with Jackie Chan.
And not Eddie Murphy. Eddie Murphy was up for the part. He did Holy Man instead. But what I was going to say was,
I think Tucker is channeling Murphy through a lot of this movie.
Oh yeah, Michael Jackson does get credited for that song.
That's hilarious.
I was like, hey, that sounds like a Michael Jackson song. But it turns out it was.
I love that Chris he takes Jackie Chan to Grauman's Theater and says, "Look at it, just like home, ain't it?" Like, just the casual like 1998 kind of racism you could get away with that now people would lose their minds over. He smacks that dude and takes his in the head and takes his motorcycle from him, and and you're right, it's very formulaic. It's like it's a 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4.
What action movies do?
Yeah.
There's no twist that's going to surprise you. There's nothing like, I didn't see that coming. It's like, no, they saved the day, and it's funny.
Mm-hmm. So I'm pretty sure that the cat, early on, right when it's that, when Jackie's trying to run away from Chris Tucker and all that, the taxi driver, yeah, it is. That's Gene LaBelle, the guy who gets out of the car with his own gun. And then Jackie Chan's like, "Oh, I was just trying to teach him how to disarm a suspect." That's Gene LaBelle. Do you know who Gene LaBelle is? He's a famous fight stunt guy and all that type of thing. But he's known for choking Steven Seagal out until Seagal shit his pants during a friendly thing that they were having. There's a story about it, a famous story about Seagal.
Wow.
Shitting his pants and passing out, and Gene LaBelle being the one to do it to him. So I thought that was pretty funny. It's like, hey, it's him.
I almost felt like Jackie Chan's, Buster Keaton antics almost felt out of place in this movie. Where it's like, we're going along, we're serious. Now he's running around the rafters and doing acrobatics. Wait a minute, a second ago you were, and I know that's your shtick, but of course, if I had seen this in 1998, during the dark times that we were under, I may have liked it even more. If that gives you an idea.
I mean, when he and Carter go into that pool hall and Carter goes in the back, and then Jackie bellies up to the bar and goes, "What's up, my blah blah blah," and they get to that fight. Sequence. It's hilarious. Yeah. It's really funny. And a G14 classified, man, I love it when a G14 classified be going down. That's a good thing.
So I guess all that gun work in Friday paid off, right?
I guess so. I mean, there's a lot of this movie has some iconic things in it, well, what the hell did you just say? I think there's a couple of lines that kind of made it into the lexicon for a while. I love it when he confronts that dude with the smoking the joint in the pool hall. What is this? And he kind of takes a hit of it. He takes a little sniff of it and has that moment. It's so good. And then, you got a prescription for this? Yeah. Where is it? It's just a cigarette. It's a cig of weed. I love it all that.
You split the bag with me.
You better have glaucoma. I do.
Yeah, the movie was so ridiculous. I almost watched part 2 and 3.
Really?
But I did look them up to see the gimmick. And I'm like, oh, okay. So part 2, now Chris Tucker's
Carter's
fish out
in
of
China.
water in Hong Kong, right? But in part 3, they're both fish out of water in Paris. So I guess that's the
Right.
before sunrise version of Rush Hour.
That's funny. Can you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth? I think is the one that kind of made it into the lexicon.
It gives me MST flashbacks. Nobody's understood a word you've been saying for the last half hour.
When he gets the food from the dude at the stall, he's like, "Damn, Chin, how you gonna give me a box of grease?" And I ain't no punk bitch. I ain't no punk bitch neither. They're just yelling at each other. It's ridiculous, but also very funny. Like I said, that's that Eddie Murphy trading places. My wife won't have sex with me because I didn't get my kid the G.I. Joe with the Kung Fu grip. It's very much like, it just feels very much like that.
And it's much better than a lot of the other movies that Beverly Hills Cop spawned that I sat through at the time and forgot where they came from. Things like Metro.
Yeah.
I remember Taxi with Jimmy Fallon and Queen Latifah. Right, they're trying so hard, but it's just not landing.
Awful.
But it's all trying to do Beverly Hills Cop again to try to get that spark. I didn't realize that until
And this, I think what they did was they went, we're going to do Beverly Hills Cop, but we're going to do Lethal Weapon too, right? But we're going to have Murtaugh be Eddie Murphy, and we're going to have Riggs be Jackie Chan. And so, you get the crazy cop who whoops everybody's ass, and then the other one with the big mouth and who can kind of hold his own a little bit,
Yeah. I mean, you're not supposed to take it too seriously.
Oh, no.
If you do, it's like I was talking about, or they were split into like 3 different people, whereas Axel F could do it all himself. He'd disarm the bomb, he'd laugh at you, and he'd beat you up. He'd do all 3,
Yeah.
But this is still a better movie than Axel F. Beverly Hills Cop 4.
It looks real good. I mean, to me, it's a good looking movie.
It's shot a little weird, but it does look good. And I looked up Brett Ratner, and he didn't do a whole lot of other things, really. The Rush Hours are kind of his biggie, right?
Yeah.
He did like an X-Man movie, and
he started a production company, and he was doing some production at some point.
TV work too. Yeah.
This is also to me, when the idea of like parkour begins and like people practicing parkour and all that type of shit really comes from right around this time.
It's true, because you got to think this movie's almost 30 years old, which is crazy to think. And
I know
we hadn't seen a whole lot of that in the action movies in North America at the point, so it was very fresh at the time.
To me, it's a perfect encapsulation of the late 90s, especially comedies in particular. They tend to kind of run like this, where they were, just kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? Over the top, but also sort of gregarious and sort of kind of like you said, you can't pay too much attention to it. You can't take it too seriously because it falls apart if you do, but if you're just it's kind of like Friday, you can't take it too seriously. Otherwise it starts to fall apart pretty quickly, But it's, you had another buddy cop movie that really works. We see their bond slowly form as they share culture and they find similar interests, like that stakeout scene and all that type of stuff, where he's teaching him how to take the gun away and he's teaching him how to dance to war. And, don't you ever touch a black man's radio, you get shot for some shit like that, and it's
So does part 2 build on that more, or is part 2 not as good? of a movie. I haven't
Part
seen it.
part
so.
two, to me, I think part two stands up. In particular, there's a scene where he encounters a lady who sells chickens on the side of the road at a market, and I won't go any further. That to me is fucking hilarious. It's very, very funny. It's maybe just a little level down from this, maybe, but it still holds up. 3 really kind of drops the ball.
Yeah,
Definitely.
3 had some low ratings.
Yeah.
I was like, oh
3
shit.
drops the ball. But one and 2, as far as back to back fun, better than Shanghai Nights and Shanghai Noon.
I was thinking about those too. Never saw them.
Really?
Like I was saying at the beginning, this was those genres were missed on me. I was paying more attention to horror and weird indie movies at the time. I knew of all these movies, but for some reason they were skipping past my radar. But I'm glad that I watched Rush Hour because you need it to make the conversation about movies make sense.
Well, and it's I mean, I remember liking Shanghai Noon too. We may have to get to that one at some point. But this was when I was consuming every Jackie Chan thing I could get my hands on because I thought, this guy's like a new Bruce Lee type of martial artist, really changing the game.
I wanted to see Rumble in the Bronx, and for some reason just didn't get around to. But I did watch that remake of the Drunken Master that he did in the 90s. I really liked that one. So.
It was Legend of the Drunken Master, I think it was.
That was really good.
Yeah, it was really fantastic.
Then it took them until 2007 to make part 3 of Rush Hour.
Well, and I mean,
so it took a little longer.
I mean, Chris didn't do a lot after
he doesn't
this.
work a whole lot. That makes you wonder, is he difficult to work with or is he very choosy?
Yeah, exactly.
Probably difficult to work with if Hollywood has shown us anything.
Yeah, I mean, he did the Rush Hour 2, and then he did Rush Hour 3, and then he did Silver Linings Playbook, and like he took a long time off. Air, I guess, is the last thing he did with Damon and Affleck. Huh? I didn't realize that.
Yeah, well, you think about it, you go, there isn't really that many Chris Tucker movies.
Mm-hmm.
Fifth Element, Friday, these 3, a couple others like you mentioned, Jackie Brown,
yeah, and they kill him at the beginning of Jackie Brown. Like, what the? Well, we talked about that before. I love how in this movie, back to this movie, I love the kid screaming, "Push the goddamn button." That makes me laugh every time. And also later on, there's a scene where, like, you know how in the last big setup, right? The big Act 3 setup where they're at the thing and they're bringing the money, and it's the
It reminded me of Running Scared, the big open space.
Yeah. And so, but they've got the FBI guys up at the top watching, right? Like a control tower. And then when everything goes wrong, the British dude basically just like goes up there with a gun and walks in and just shoots 4 FBI agents.
Oh,
like,
yeah, that's one of the lamer scenes. Yeah.
Yeah, where you're just like, I guess. And then he just like picks up just takes a suitcase of money and walks out. And you're just like, oh, okay, sure.
But we'll be okay because we're the generic version of Judge Reinhold and freaking other dude from Beverly Hills Cop, right?
I guess.
Well, they kind of are, right? They kind of like this movie's generic version of those characters. I remember when I was bitching about 1917, I kept saying video game way too much. What I really need to say is melodrama. The good stay good, the bad stay bad. There's never any conflict here. And like in this movie, that you get a lot of that with the generic, FBI guys.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to do the thing. And what? Now we're doing this. What? You were the thing all along. Okay, well, blah, blah, blah. Here's your badge. Oh, you can shove your badge. Oh, you.
Shove that badge up your ass, you bitch. That's hilarious. I love that the fall into the banner. That's a great stunt where they drags the banner and he slides down it. I thought that was really good.
Remind me of Gregory Hines of, falling
off
the thing. Oh,
that's hilarious. Oh no. Gotta go. Final Jeopardy's on.
We need our Rush Hour Running Scared mashup.
The outtakes are great too. I love them.
Oh, the Cannonball Run outtakes, because he
Yeah,
was in part 2, right? So
yeah, they do the Cannibal Run outtakes in part 2 also. So it's a lot of fun. They got some good ones in there.
he was in Cannonball Run 2, right? Jackie Chan.
He was in the first one.
The first one as well? Because I know those
Yeah,
have the goofy credits
pretty
at the end
sure.
too. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder
I'm
who got
pretty
inspired
sure he
there.
was.
Yeah. You almost think Burt Reynolds should have been in this movie somewhere.
Right?
Wasn't for lack of trying. It took him years until he finally broke in on this continent.
Jackie Chan? Oh yeah, man. They were pushing him for. I mean, he was in
They
a
just
lot of stuff. I mean, he's in the background in Big Trouble in Little China, for fuck's sake.
I know he's in Enter the Dragon briefly.
Yeah, he's Subaru driver number 1 in the original Cannonball Run. That's what I thought. But yeah, but he was in a movie right before that came out called Battle Creek Brawl, which is supposed to be set in the United States too.
Right.
So they
just couldn't figure it out. Yeah,
so much stuff. Yeah,
he was doing great worldwide, but he couldn't compete here with the Arnolds, the Sylvester Stallones, Chuck Norrises.
Mm-hmm.
And in the mid '90s was his time. It was like, oh, we're ready for you now. We've gone through our little John Woo phase, which even this movie has Chris Tucker holding the 2 guns out at one point.
Yes,
I'm like, see,
yes, it does.
What happens after the killer? But we were ready by the middle of the '90s. So.
We were, and I think part of it was that kung fu movies for a long time were very, other than Bruce Lee, they were very kind of dubbed, sort of with the noise type of things, and that's what everybody expected. And
this has a little bit of that. Yeah,
it does, but it's a much more fluid style. It's much more acrobatic and sort of time. It's still timed. You can still watch the timing happen. Ha, hoo, ha, ha. It's that type of thing. But to me, it's much faster, and it's much more fun to watch. And you also get that Matrix style comes in with the ropes and all that stuff and all that crazy kind of kung fu that they do.
It is a year before.
Yeah, so you end up with this, people getting a new type of kung fu martial arts style in movies, right? It's not the old stuff, which makes it more exciting, in my opinion. It's kind of the way they do most of that stuff now.
Right. Yeah, very groundbreaking to the 4 quadrants. Make a basic action film that all the action people are going to be able to absorb like a programmer. But here's our twist. Jackie Chan, Chris Tucker going crazy for 90 minutes. That's all you need. You don't need an interesting villain. It totally proves that. Now, interesting villains are great. They make things better, but you don't always need them. You got to have something in there that works, basically, is what I'm saying.
Well, and in my opinion, there's a lot about this movie that does work. From what I remember, it was a pretty big summer blockbuster, or it came out in fall, September 18th, 1998. $33 million. It grossed 140 in the US and then 244 worldwide. So it's a massive hit.
When you could still do ridiculous shit on airplanes, like at the end of the movie. You can't do that now.
No.
That's one of the last bits of writing a scene like that at an airport.
Yeah, but I quite enjoy the film. I think it's pretty well done. It's one that's an easy watch. Especially once you, like you said, you get past that first 10 minutes of setup and it's off and running, and then it's just
yeah. It's like why we watch the James Bond movies, even the so-called bad ones, because we know they're going to hit all the certain beats and the movie's going to wrap up, and it doesn't challenge you because you don't want that. You want popcorn vehicle. You want something that's going to go act 1, act 2, act 3, throw me a few different things, and that's it. Just crazy white guy who wants to take over the world again, And I love how the little girl's not even traumatized or anything, because it's not a movie like that.
No, it's not like that.
Not real trauma. If it was. Then I'm like, oh, now Jackie Chan's wearing the vest with the bombs. Why don't you just get rid of that stupid thing?
Wow. Okay, so here's an interesting piece of trivia. The film inspired the creation of the website Rotten Tomatoes.
Really?
The site's founder is a big Jackie Chan fan and built the website to collect reviews for all of Chan's Hong Kong films as they were being released in the U.S. He coded the site in 2 weeks, putting it up shortly before the release of this film.
Huh.
Yeah, that's interesting.
And what does Rotten Tomatoes give Rush Hour 3?
I don't know.
Oh, look it up. Yeah, because it ties in perfectly to what you just said.
Rush Hour 3. Let's see here. Come on.
Looking up internet information.
Usually Google is shoving that in my face, but now it's like, no. Oh, 17.
Oh, I thought it was like a 6. That's still pretty bad.
It's a 63 on the popcornometer, but the tomato meter is a 17%.
Woo! So the very site that it helped create is now biting the hand that feeds, or eating its own tail, or whatever the metaphor.
That's brutal. Sounds like a Nine Inch Nails song. Yeah. See, well, Rush Hour 2 only gets a 51% on the tomato meter, but a 74% on the popcornometer.
Mm-hmm.
And then the original gets 62 on the tomato meter and a 79 on the popcornometer.
Yeah.
So it
outdoes them all.
It's not a film that's going to please a critic, but I think it's a film that's going to put butts in seats and get people eating popcorn and drinking sugar water, which is the main point of it.
You know, much like movies like Reality Bites, this is another movie that it was made by people who never stopped living the 80s, all the way up to 1998. So it's pretty interesting to see that world as well. I enjoyed it. I give it 2.5. It was fine. Didn't blow me away. I didn't hate it. It was just, it's there, you know. It's probably one of the most run-of-the-mill movies I've had to watch for the show. Just kind of like, yeah, okay, cool.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I feel like it's done some things that other movies have picked up on.
Yeah.
I think it's a 3.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of Chan's better movies as far as just like a big Hollywood fun movie. It blazes by. It's quick. It's easy. It's light. Yeah. So yeah, I'd say 3 stars. It's something that, like, it's if you've put it on, I'm not going to complain. And every now and then I might even watch it. But yeah, I mean, but it's not cinematic Marvel or anything like that.
Yeah. It was more because I said I'd never seen it. That's probably why we watched it more than anything.
That's exactly it.
Hey, that's one of the purposes.
Yeah, that's one of the main purposes, that we do this. But that moves us to S.O.B.
Yeah, more Shelley Winters. Because we've watched a couple Shelley Winters movies. So what's another, right?
Was it Poseidon Adventure, Night of the Hunter, and now S.O.B.
Yeah, S.O.B, the would-be follow-up to 10 that we watched a few weeks ago, and Victor Victoria rounds out this pseudo-trilogy. But what is S.O.B, a movie that lives somewhere between Up in Smoke and The Beach Girls?
A successful movie director makes the most expensive film in his career, and it becomes a huge flop. He tries to salvage his career by reshooting the film as an erotic production where its family-friendly star takes her top off. This is written and directed by Blake Edwards, starring Julie Andrews and William Holden. Andrews and Blake Edwards were married. That's your log line. Let's see here. Your storyline. This is a little bit longer. Felix Farmer, played by Richard Mulligan, is an extremely successful Hollywood producer whose movies for Capitol Pictures have never lost money until now, with his latest, most expensive movie to date, Night Wind, ending up being a major flop. The movie, starring his popular Academy Award-winning actress wife Sally Miles, played by Julie Andrews, who has a G-rated screen image, almost bankrupts the studio. As such, the studio executives turn on Felix, who want to take over creative control of the movie and re-edit it to lessen the damage. It also turns Felix suicidal, his mental state, which in turn leads to Sally leaving him and taking their 2 children with her. As Felix tries and tries again unsuccessfully to kill himself, he finally stumbles upon an idea which gets him out of his depression. He plans to use his and Sally's money to purchase the movie back from the studio and reimagine it by adding a few new scenes to drastically alter it from the G-movie fantasy it is to an R-rated sex romp, complete with Sally bearing her naked breasts on screen. In doing so, Felix believes it has the potential to become the most popular movie to date. A major obstacle in being able to carry out his idea is Sally, who has long protected her good girl screen image. What ends up happening is largely dictated by those around them, from the major players to those on the periphery of their lives, each who is working with his or her own self-interest, even with those at the far edge of the periphery having a profound effect on the proceedings. It's not a terrible storyline. It's a long one.
I guess they didn't test audience movies as much back in the day, because they would have told you how bad Night Wind was before you released it so wide, and then decide to start chopping it and remaking other things. I do think it's interesting you talked about how it stretches far and wide. It's kind of like, this is like a more extreme Nashville, whereas the music in that movie is supposed to be pretty fucking horrible too, I think, is the whole point of it. Like, you're having to hear this goddamn Polly Doodle song over and over again in S.O.B, and it's pretty fucking bad. But it has to be bad, because like the part where Felix is trying to buy the prints from Robert Vaughn and they're walking out on him, and he just starts singing that shitty song, and that's enough to make them go, 16 million, please just take this fucking piece of crap off our hands. It's a long way to go for that joke, but
it's a long way to go for that joke. So this is another Mancini and Edwards meetup. So Mancini doing the music. The opening scene reminds me for some reason of the puppet bit from Sound of Music. The one little girl and a lonely goat. You know, for some reason I don't fucking know why.
Probably, yeah.
But Julie Andrews can sing her ass off. She's very talented. But yeah, it's weird. It's this. So we sit through this opening number, which is from the film that flopped, right? That's what I'm assuming, because that's what kind of what I've been set up for. And then we get a Once Upon a Time card, and then we get Richard Mulligan.
Yeah.
So it's like, is this reality? Are you telling us a Hollywood fable? Like, the movie's very vague and kind of unclear in what it's doing. Which is what a lot of the scenes are like. A lot of the scenes are like, I don't know. It's like he's trying to be Altman.
Yeah.
Where he's having so many people on screen at once, doing so many things and talking, and the music and the mix is kind of fucking weird. So the dialogue's not popping out like it should. So it's a hard movie for me to watch at times.
Yeah, it's got bizarre structure. To me, it goes along pretty good for the first part. That's my favorite part of the movie, is Act 1, I think, overall. But it comes to a dead halt when we see Polly in the hospital. And it's just that wonder of her just yelling. And I'm thinking, did you not have the coverage? Because it doesn't fit with the rest of the movie. And I know you need it because it shows her send her husband back to the party. And then he gets fucking, somebody lands on him too. And he ends up in the hospital. But you needed Robert Vaughn in real life. I'm a damn good cutter to come in and be like, we're going to snip some of these longer storylines out. I know you want to rag on the paparazzi, but that's what makes the movie 2 hours long, is adding all the extra Loretta Swit stuff, even though some of that is funny. It's just a weird pacing.
I don't think I've ever seen Larry Hagman in another movie.
That's kind of neat. Yeah.
I'm very familiar with him in I Dream of Jeannie, but in Dallas, but I'd never seen him on the big screen or that type of thing.
A lot of actors in this that are not with us anymore. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And I'll say that the film's cast is just nothing but great actors. I mean, it's one after the other, after the other, after the other, where it's just like Robert Preston is a great actor.
He's the best part of the movie.
He's the best part of the movie, but those three guys, in fact, his three friends are the best part of the movie.
Yeah. The movie starts when Robert Preston arrives. Takes 20 minutes to get there, but once he shows up as the doctor, bam, we're off and going.
Yeah, we get going. And Mulligan's a good actor, and I mean, this is early Rosanna Arquette in this fucking thing, and then you've got Shelley Winters, and you've got so many good actors. Robert Vaughn, like you mentioned, Stuart Margolin's in this.
Yeah, fucking Mr. Hakiba.
It keeps going and going and going. It's a great cast. It really is. I was getting the end vibes during the garage suicide sequence.
It does have a lot of that, doesn't it?
It had that weird Burt Reynolds feeling.
I finally figured out. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I think my problem with this movie is it kind of encapsulated in the garage scene. Okay. And we kind of talked about this with Tootsie last week, where it's not funny anymore, right? Like this was funny at a certain time, but it's not funny anymore, right? Because okay, so he gets in the car and he's all going to kill himself, and he closes the garage door, he starts the car up, and good on the director. He knows that it takes a while, it doesn't just happen automatically, right? But then here comes the gardener, and he just lifts the door open, and the place is smoky as hell. And what's he do? He just starts the lawnmower and pulls it back out. Doesn't even care, it's just like and then he comes back in again, and it
makes it more sad than funny.
It does, exactly. It's more sad than funny, and it's also like this kind of humor isn't really, like, you'd have to be really dumb.
It's of that era, the Jackie Martling era.
Yeah, it's that Jackie Martling era of just like, well, I'm a stupid gardener, so here I come. It's like
gardeners versus chauffeurs.
It's like everybody else is NPCs, right? Like they don't have their own sort of free will or agency. They're just come in, get the mower. Oh, I see you now. I don't know.
That's what I say. It's kind of like Nashville, but in Nashville, all those little, like the gardener, he'd want to be a musician too. That's the one thing that's missing here. Like he should be wanting to try to get into show business as well. Like Bowfinger, everybody wants to get into the movie.
Yeah, my note was garage full of smoke, cars running. Better fire up the mower and ignore the situation. Right. Hola, and it's just
he like wakes up for a second and then he fucking falls.
Yeah.
But it does. You do get that bizarre image of the car breaking free and going into the ocean.
Yeah, that's true.
He's true. This look on his face, like, what the fuck is happening? It's more weird than funny, though. Yeah.
Why are the people in Blake's movies such assholes? Like they're all kind of they're all solely worried about themselves. They're not really, even Julie Andrews is just like, I mean, the very first movie, she's like, kids and me, gone, see ya.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no like,
these are send-ups of the business. So he's showing how cynical and self-centered everybody is. They only care about themselves. That's why when you're dead in this town, when you're truly dead, nobody notices. That's why the guy on the beach who dies, and nobody even notices that he's out there. And it is funny that he ends up getting the big funeral procession because of the old switcheroo. It's
okay, so here we go with more scenes of people running on the beach and more opportunities for nude women in the film. It's like he hides his sort of lasciviousness. Just, it was the same way with 10, where he has these, it's like he's still in the late 60s or the mid 70s where there was key parties. This is 81 when this movie's coming out. He's still doing like orgies and it feels like the 60s very much. It looks like the 70s. Honestly, the film doesn't look like 1981 at all.
Oh yeah, because it's shot in 80, so it's still, of course, it still has that. But much like Rush Hour, I was like, those people never lived the early 90s. They're still in the 80s. And here, those people never got the 70s. They were still in the Rat Pack era from the 60s.
Yeah, it was. I mean, just the weird sense. I don't know. It was weird.
It's one of a kind, because right after that, everything switches and we get Ghostbusters, and they don't make movies like this anymore. But I finally figured out the structure this time, because watching movies for the podcast forces me to analyze them more. And like you said, this movie's confusing, it's weird, it's all over the place. But I realize now, okay, it's almost mathematical. Act 1, he's catatonic. Act 2, he's inspired. Act 3, he's fucking dead. And it breaks it down to about 45 minutes, 30 minutes. And so the last part is kind of mirrors the first part, because even though he's dead in Proto Weekend at Bernie's, he still kind of was almost dead in the beginning where he was catatonic. So it's Mulligan having to play without talking. So,
and speaking of dead, who's the dead guy that just is on the beach, and what's that gag with the dog about?
Oh, he was at one point when they're shooting the nude scene of Nightwind in the TV. They use the TV to fill an exposition here and there, which I guess is why Loretta Swit at the hospital is needed. And they say, oh, so-and-so who made big movies back when was discovered dead, and he was the guy who was on the beach, and now we're going to have a 1 minute of silence for him.
Yeah.
But so nobody really, it's like, whatever, we're cynical, who cares about who that was? But he's the guy he gets switched into Felix's coffin at the end, so he gets
Right.
Julie Andrews sung too, so he actually does get a send off because nobody knows that he's not in the coffin. I think he was trying to show like nobody cares about you when you're.
It's like, I don't know. It's like trying to follow a weird jigsaw puzzle that doesn't have a lot of explanation to it.
It does not hold your hand.
My favorite line in the movie is, "You look like 180 pounds of condemned veal." That's my favorite.
He's got the best lines. Yeah.
Yeah. The rug through the floor gag is good. I like that quite a bit.
Oh, yeah. When Felix wakes up and Robert Preston's trying to chase him to give him the shot, and he gives the other guy the shot. And it's like, oh, come on. Yeah. You're done.
Yeah, come here. Good night. See you in a couple days.
Night.
Yeah, night. See you in a couple days. Well, that's the weird thing about this movie is like, here's a dude who, and again, going back to the car gag, it's just it's just a gag. Like, it's such a gag. But after he tries to kill himself with his car and everybody's like, oh, he tried to kill himself, what do? They have an orgy. Like the next night in his house. Like, it's like
that guy on the beach.
Do your friends not even give a shit? Does anybody give a shit in this movie?
Only his friends are the ones that really cared about him. His three buddies, It was kind of like, oh, in that business, nobody really fucking cares about you except your actual friends. And that ended up being his doctor, his director friend Cully, right? Wasn't Cully like another director? And then the other guy was like, what, his manager? The dude who was in 10, who was...
Yeah.
Can't remember that guy's name, but... Yeah, that's all he really had at the end of the day. Even Sally didn't really, give a shit.
So he had a diopter shot in here, which is pretty cool. That was good. Always love a nice diopter shot. That's the other thing about this film is that it has there's that old school kind of comedy of make it manic. The more manic it is, the funnier it is, right? Have a bunch of people yelling and running around, and somehow that's hilarious. Do you know what I mean? And there's, especially at some of that party scenes and stuff, where it's just like, Jesus,
yeah,
everybody is going insane. What is going on here?
Yeah, it's really over the top. It's kind of like once Felix wakes up, as I almost start to lose interest, even though there's still some interesting stuff in Act 2. And then I also enjoyed Act 3 a bit as well, when he's, Weekend at Bernie's. Like, he doesn't have any shoes on. He's through walking. It's all these little jabs and stuff where it's like, it's kind of a bad movie, but it has all these great lines sprinkled throughout it. And I kind of like its overall tone too. So,
what's he say? He says, a shyster is a disreputable lawyer. I'm a quack.
Yeah, I could have you.
Yeah, I could have you sued for slander.
That's the nicest thing anybody said to me all week.
I love when they run Hagman over with the golf cart. I think that's great. The problem, also the film's too long. It really digs in and kind of takes too long. Even with all the manic things that it's trying to do, it still, for some reason, tends to have too much padding.
Yeah, it feels like a blank check after 10, right?
Yeah.
Just do whatever you want, because that made money, and then this one barely made money. And then I think Victor Victoria did substantially better. People seem to like Victor Victoria the most of these three. So,
yeah, this is 12 million. So he did 14 million worldwide with this, at 12 million. Yeah. So that made a little money, but that's not.
It was prominent at the time. It was a cable staple for a bit, and it kind of disappeared.
And then you move into that dancing, because that's the other problem with the movie, is it slows down with these set piece scenes with Julie Andrews, because she's not in the movie much.
No, it's kind of like 10. She's barely in it. Yeah.
She's in the beginning. She's in later on. She's there to complain about having to show her breasts. She shows her breasts, and then she has one more scene and she's out the door.
Mm-hmm.
It's a weird, I don't know, very strange.
Yeah. One of the parts I really like is when they're in Felix's house, and it's in the beginning, and they're all kind of around that bar area, and then Robert Preston walks like he looks like he's leaving the frame, and then he opens those doors up, and then he comes in, and he's like, "Oh, he's just going into where the bar is," and the
Right.
shot kind of tricks you to make you think like he's going to another part of the house. It's just one of those weird little timing bits that I always chuckle at. Because it just has a bunch of weird little moments in it, yeah.
I like the skinny girl who is always eating. She's eating, and every time you see her on screen, from the moment she gets to the house, she's always eating something.
Mm-hmm.
First, it's like a sandwich, and then it's cereal, and then it's like
Right. I'm gonna fill up while I'm here before we go hitchhiking again.
yeah. And then I'm like, again, I have notes that say there's an hour to go. We still have 30 minutes left, which tells me, for me, the movie's dragging. If I'm thinking about how much longer I have to go, it's dragging for me.
It feels like 3 movies crammed together.
It feels like he definitely could have re-edited the thing and kind of tightened it up a bit. 140, 145 maybe.
Yeah.
I said, hey, we still have about 30 minutes of movie left. How about a car chase and some vehicle stunts?
Oh yeah,
Sweet.
we haven't had that yet.
Yeah, we haven't done that yet.
What does Robert Vaughn tell the guy at the projectionist? Like, spool it back up and let's see what we got. We can start cutting out. That's kind of what they need to do with the movie itself.
And then suddenly the director's dead, where it's just like,
that is unusual, right?
Okay, what the hell?
Even as a kid, I thought that was just so strange because we got like another half hour to go, but now I realize, it's as if the first act where he wasn't saying or doing much then either. So what was the difference between him being catatonic and him being dead? But I know this much: if Felix hadn't gone catatonic and he had just gone down there and talked to everybody in the first place, maybe this whole fucking mess could have been avoided, because the snowball continues even if you stand still in those situations. Felix brought about his own downfall. But it is weird to see the lead character get shot an hour into a comedy, and then
it's about 90 minutes in, and you're like, we still have 30 minutes to go. What the hell?
Mm-hmm.
And the last 30 minutes is about them stealing his body, which that's the one piece that had me laughing, because I remember dragging you around on stage during Arsenic and Old Lace. You were the dead body, and I was playing Teddy, and I would have to get you out of the window seat and drag you along the floor or whatever. That was hilarious. So that made me laugh.
Mm-hmm. And they give Felix the Viking funeral.
Yeah, and what kind of weird ass priest is that? That long haired.
That was her guru, played by Larry Storch.
Okay, her guru. Okay, I was just like, what the hell?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, something they, what's the phrase? Probably wouldn't do in a movie now.
They got a brand new Indian guru who's teaching them a better way.
It's the love guru. Was it?
Yeah, the love guru.
Oh God. Yeah, it was kind of that.
For me, this movie is sort of miles of boredom punctuated by like minutes of comedy or sheer weirdness, where I'm like, oh, that was kind of okay. I kind of sure, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know. I both of these 2 films that we watched of his have kind of done the same thing, where they kind of start, they set a few things up, they get started, and then they kind of die off.
Mm-hmm. Literally.
Like, well, it's weird, because like the end of 10 is for me the worst part of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's okay for certain parts of it, but it just sort of, I don't know, seems to fall off the face of a cliff. To be a pun. Yeah, and his 3 friends are the best part of the movie. That's what's worth watching it for, is Robert Preston and the rest of them.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. That's probably one of the only reasons I keep going back to it. Not that often, But every now and then I like to refresh on some of those parts where it's like, yeah, if this was like 80 minutes and it had all that stuff in it, it'd be really good.
I think, I think if you cut down the opening number, although, I mean, again, it's Julie Andrews. Like, if you've got a number with her singing and dancing, why not take advantage of it?
That's
but
why
at the same
it's
time,
hard to figure out what to cut.
It's hard to cut that. But like, then, what else do you? So, but at some point, you got to make some decisions. You got to make some decisions. I think Loretta Swit would be one I would cut.
Yeah.
I'd cut her part completely.
Loretta Swit and the guy dying on the beach.
Yep.
Even though the last shot is the dog is wagging its tail because there's smoke in the ocean for some reason, the dog is happy again. I don't know, but
it's some sort of metaphor I'm missing.
Yeah. And it went on to win all sorts of awards, and everybody was happy, and until they made another movie. And it all starts all over again. One of the things that was kind of most Nashville-ish is who was Julie Andrews' assistant? Stuart Morgulin.
Yeah,
he was
Stuart
kind
Morgulin.
of that character who was trying to level up.
Mm-hmm.
Which is mostly what a lot of Nashville is about. Like, oh shit, you're the person, I'm going to introduce myself, blah, blah, blah. And like his scene with Shelley Winters where he's like, I really want to be, what did he say, a director or producer? And she was kind of like takes a beat, like motherfucker, you got to pay some dues first.
You got ambition.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's the one that kind of has sort of focused ambition. He manipulates Julie Andrews into signing the movie away. Which is what eventually gets the director killed, but causes him to lose his mind and he gets shot.
Yeah, a lot of weird dominoes going on.
It's such a weird, really strange.
You do have to watch it several times to actually figure all this shit out. And do you want to watch it several times is the problem.
No, I don't.
I've been seeing it since it was new, so I've had it ingrained in me, but
I mean, I saw this back in the day. It's just been, I know I saw it on cable back in the 80s when it was running, but it's just been a long time. It's never, and much like 10, it was never really something that stood out to me there. I was like, oh, I want to watch this again.
Yeah, I like this a lot more than 10, though.
Yeah. I think Victor Victoria is probably, out of the trilogy,
that's probably the winner. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What did I give 10 anyway? What was my rating on that?
I think I gave it like 1 star.
I think you gave it like 1.5.
It's also weird to see Mary Poppins topless. Like that's a weird, like, that's Maria from
Sally Miles Curses.
Yes. What the hell? Okay, I guess.
Like even when she says what damn it or whatever early in the movie is kind of like scandalous, you're like, oh.
Yeah, it's very weird. Let's see. You gave 10 4 stars.
Really?
Mm-hmm. That's what I have on my list.
I don't even see where we even watched it.
It's right before Starlet.
Damn, I gave it 4. I must have been feeling good that week because I actually think I like this movie more, but I'm only giving this one 3.5. Maybe I was more reasonable with my rating this time. Because 10 really should be about a 3.
I'm going to give it 2.
2, yeah. That's about right. That's what most people gave it at the time. So
yeah, it's not something I would definitely watch Rush Hour over this.
I like movies about making movies and, even the weird, boring ones I find interesting.
This one doesn't really have much to do about making a movie. I mean, it is about a failed movie, but there's not a lot of movie making in it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
It's about the fucked up post-production process.
It's more entourage and it's like working the back lot and talking in the offices than it is, on the sets. One of the things I liked about The Offer was that they did a good job balancing Al Ruddy working the phones and all that stuff with Coppola being on set and doing the script and all that stuff. I thought that was pretty well balanced.
Yeah. So watch The Offer.
Yeah, you definitely should watch The Offer. It's really, really good. And I would, if you haven't seen either one of these movies, I would recommend them both. I think Blake Edwards comedy for me is kind of hit and miss, but I think for some other people, they really enjoy it. So, Pink Panther, that type of stuff. But yeah, I would say definitely. And of course, if you haven't seen Rush Hour, you should definitely watch Rush Hour.
What did these two movies have in common? People falling on other people. I think that was about
Perfect.
the closest thing I could come up with there. They're not always going to match.
Oh, that's hilarious. Well, what do you got for me next week?
Okay, so next week, I'm probably not ever going to give you a movie by this director because I don't really see what the point is. Well, that's harsh. But, I mean, it's not like something I'm really going to bring to the show and discuss. But this thing, I think, is very important to bring up. It's documentary time, and it's kind of long. It's about 2.5 hours. But I find it very interesting. It's called 30 Days in Hell. It's the making of The Devil's Rejects. But I'm not going to make you watch The Devil's Rejects. We've seen that enough. But the making of how they put the movie together is completely fascinating, I think. And also kind of ties into some other stuff we're talking about behind the scenes right now, strangely enough. So that's a long-awaited one to give you, 30 Days in Hell.
30 Days in Hell.
Because it goes through all 30 days of the production. You start at casting and go all the way to the last day of the shoot. So it doesn't feel like you're watching Devil's Rejects. Like I said, I'm not going to give you a movie like that for the show. The furthest we'll go is like Texas Chainsaw or something. But...
Okay, so I'm going to give you the complete opposite of that. I haven't seen this either. So this is a complete blind pick for me. But I'm going to give you Amelie.
I don't even know what that is.
Apparently it's supposed to be really good. There's a lot of people who say it is. I've somehow skipped it my entire life. It's
is it new?
No, it's from 2001.
Amelie?
Amelie, yeah. See, sorry.
Oh, I love Amelie. Oh, okay. That's one of my favorite directors of photography, Bruno. I can't remember his name, but he did some of Buster Scruggs.
Okay, well, great.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this movie. Yeah, okay.
I've never seen it, so it'll be a good palate cleanser then, hopefully.
Amelie, yeah, that was
Amelie. I don't speak French.
I'm like, what is this? Okay, okay, cool. I haven't seen that one in a while. That's a good one that I might have at some point brought up, and it's polarizing because some people hate it, but some people don't like Dinner in America also. Now, I'm not saying it's that, but I'm just saying tastes are different. But I got to give you a third movie about making movies. I did a little trilogy there, you see.
Well, that's the last of my women in front and center, or even man dressed as woman front and center movies, I think. And then I've got a couple others that are more kind of male centric. Yeah. I don't know why I did them in a row like that for whatever reason.
Thematic, like I gave you Badass, S.O.B, and 30 Days in Hell, my trilogy of movies about making movies.
Well, all right, Amelie, huh? Amelie, is that how you say it? Really?
Amelie, yeah.
All right. Yeah. It had a weird accent thingy on it, so Amelie, I don't know. Amelie, all right. And 30 Days in Hell.
Yeah, they're both from aughts. Yeah, so.
Okay. Yeah, I may go back and edit that Amelie. Who knows? I sound like an idiot. But hey, when have I not? When have I not? But all right, so that'll be our next two movies in a week.
Awesome.
All right, man. Till then, I ain't no punk bitch.
And if you're really going to end it all, I can show you a half dozen great ways to do it.
You got any eel?
This is actually pretty delicious.
Later.
Need a little hot sauce on. Support the show on Buzzsprout for only $3 a month. Give us a 5-star review on Spotify or the platform of your choice. And be sure to like and subscribe to our YouTube page.